Welcome to Wax Pro Uncut. This is season 2, episode 5, and we are in a new setting.
A different part of Erica's house.
The studio, the makeshift studio. Today we have a lineup of all things waxing, some questions that we actually have for each other, some questions that some of our viewers have submitted. So we're just going to get right into it. Rachel, kick us off.
So I want to know, why are you so good at doing Brazilians? Both men and women. We haven't talked a ton about manzillions yet on the podcast, but
Yeah.
I know that that's a huge part of your business. So I want to know why you think you're so good.
Yeah. First off and foremost, so like I started front of house. So I had a really good understanding of consultations and the sales process and how that ties into like building rapport and asking questions in the room. So I think that's one of the things that makes me really good is all the questions I ask in the room. I want to know like what type of hair removal they've undergone before, whether it's shaving, have they had laser services, if they've been waxed, how long has it been, where have they gone, what type of wax have they used? So just like really understanding where they come from so I could give them an even better experience. The second part of that is just now that I've had enough time and training and experience, obviously your skill level just increases with
Right.
that. So that's there. And lastly, I'm just not like afraid to get in there. And that sounds a little weird, but like you have to move anatomy around sometimes. You cannot be afraid to, be dealing with male or female downstairs. So I just get in there. It's all about the job. I look at the hair. I make people feel comfortable and just like get after it. With doubling back to the skill level is just like getting all the hairs. Like that's ultimately what people want when they come in for a Brazilian. I know that's what I want when I get a Brazilian, is just really cleaning it up all the way. So I think collectively that's what makes me so good at Brazilians. What about you?
Well, it's not really my personality type to like toot my own horn, right? Like when it's, what are your strengths? What are your strengths? I don't know. That's just hard for me, but I know that I'm good at Brazilians. Like that is one thing that I know to be true.
Ooh.
I know. Well, and a lot of it is just experience. It's time in the industry. It's practice. I think my following and my clientele kind of speaks to that. And I agree with you in the making sure all the hair is removed. I know I perform a stellar service. I think I have a way about myself that makes people feel comfortable and people like me, and they come to see me maybe even more so because they like me and the salon and they feel comfortable with me. And then it's just a bonus that I also give them a great service. But I mean, Brazilians are tricky. It's really hard to feel confident, do them well, and retain clients to come back for that service in particular. So
Yeah,
it's a tricky one.
Yeah. So another question about the wax suite. And actually, we've never really talked about this, but how do you command your room?
I think it is a tale as old as time, truly. No, like you have to fake it till you make it. I think that is not something that came super naturally to me at first and maybe doesn't come super naturally to a lot of service providers in the industry. You really just have to put on a persona of like, I am the boss, even if that's not who you are in your normal day to day. That's not who I am in my day to day. I don't like to be in charge. I don't like confrontation. I don't like to be, I'm just none of those things. And so that was a really hard thing for me to learn as a new waxer. Yes, just having to fake it till you make it and fake the confidence of really directly speaking to your clients, enforcing the policies, telling them where to go. Like you have to drive the bus and then make your client feel comfortable. And if you don't, they don't trust you. If they don't trust you, they don't come back to you. And so by just pretending to be this super confident person that I think that maybe I'm not all of the time, commands the energy. And the more you do it, practice makes perfect. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. I mean, if you walk into my wax suite and you're a client of mine, there's no question as to who's in charge during the service. I think that I've just built that over time with practice. But a lot of it is just pretending at first.
Yeah, sure.
What about you? How do you command the energy in your room?
Yeah. Well, again, because I started like front of house for so long and I actually, would hire estheticians, train them, coach them on how to command the room. I never had to do it until I started waxing myself, but I knew how to just because I was faking it till I maked it by showing and telling new estheticians on how to do it.
Right.
So there's just little things that kind of shape the experience in the room and prove to someone that you're in charge.
Mhm.
It's the direction.
Totally.
Right? And they seek that.
Right.
They don't know what's going on if it's their first time. Like, where do I lay? Do I take off my pants? Do I get fully naked? Like, how does this go? So that, and also little movements and gestures, like, okay, go ahead and hop up on the bed. Like
Right.
actually hitting the bed, it
Mhm.
like is that sense of urgency. And then they're like, oh, okay, that's what I'm doing next.
Mhm.
So I command the room just honestly, like tone and direction.
Totally.
And like the confidence for me, totally. I get what you're saying, because like my first actual Brazilian as a service provider, I was like, oh my gosh, like I have never actually done this on my own. I always
Right.
had someone training me, coaching me, or shadowing services. So it was just like, whoop,
I
like,
know.
all right. I mean, you're here. It's like
Yep.
you're all in or not. And
Mhm.
so I went all in and just
Dove head
yeah,
first.
yeah. And you'd never know it now, but you
Yeah,
know,
it's very scary in the beginning. And I think what you're saying about like your tone, your body language, the things you can do. I mean, and we've talked about this in our curriculum and other podcasts. I think we've touched on it. Just it starts even at the beginning when like you shake their hand, you go to greet them, your body language and the way that you gesture them into their room. You shut the door behind them. You let them go first. You tell them like you can put your stuff here. It's like you have to command the actual direction, and then that takes over the energy.
right.
And if you don't have that, if you are like mousy and behind them, or you let them shut the door, it's just these little nuances that seem like they don't matter, but they totally do. And they make a difference.
Yeah,
For sure.
they absolutely matter, because you're basically showing them that you are confident in how you move and how you
Mhm.
speak. I need, as like a client, I need my waxer to be confident. I am trusting you with hot wax
Mhm.
on my private part. So if you're not confident in how you move and how you talk to me, I'm already on edge.
Mhm.
And now I'm like looking a little bit harder at like what you're doing in the
Mhm.
room.
Mhm.
So it does matter, especially that handshake and introduction. Just everything collectively shapes that experience for them. I think that's one of the things that would like frustrate me as a manager at all the chains, and the employees I'd have, the ones that were passionate, cared. They would
Mhm.
greet their clients properly and guide them and do all the things. But there was a handful of employees I could think of that, you could just tell in like even how they were dressed. Like they rolled out of bed, their scrubs were wrinkly, they had just a bun on their head, no makeup. They would like swing the door open and call their client out by name, Jessica, and just like nonchalantly move around. And their numbers versus the people that did their makeup, their hair was done well, their scrubs were clean, greeted their clients well, spoke to them with confidence. Literally, their numbers were significantly
Yeah.
different. So I took all that into account
Yeah.
when I became a waxer myself.
I was just thinking before you started telling that story of like when we worked at the wax chain, I can in my mind picture 3 or 4 different girls that were like on the not even an unkempt, unprofessional, like yes, there's that. But then the girls that were perhaps more introverted or like mousy, quiet. There's not to say that there's not a clientele that would suit them, that they found their match in like there was a client that would come in. Remember that lady that never spoke? Hansel?
Hansel.
And she didn't speak. She would say hello, and she literally did not speak to anybody through their whole service. And every waxer that got her, it freaked her out because you're like, what did I do wrong? You'd ask 3 or 4 questions, and she gave you nothing, and you're like, okay, I guess we're not talking. But like that type of a client, of course, would find one of the quieter girls, and they were a perfect match. But it was the girls that had personality did better.
Sure.
The personality and the professionalism, I think, just goes hand in hand with the commanding of the room. It maybe is just easier and comes more naturally as well.
For sure.
So
When I would interview all the new estheticians that wanted to come work for us, I'd ask them about their experience. I'd ask them, do they like talking to their clients, like trying to get a feel for their personality type. If they told me, oh, I really like facials, I like the, relaxation and just like that kind of vibe, not a hire.
no.
Like a waxer attitude, like it's so like I could probably just lay out all the characteristics, like, they're very consistent across
Mhm.
all of the successful waxers that we trained and groomed. And it was that they were confident, they were personable. They like to see instant results, right? Like instant gratification. Whereas like facials, they take time to see like change results, right?
Yeah.
Not to say that your skin's not glowing after a facial. Like, of course, I love facials, by the way. And it's not to knock that. What I'm saying is that there's a significant difference in personality types. And you just have to have that persona when you're waxing, again, that confidence.
I always thought it was funny that I feel like if you are a waxer and you do full body waxing and that is the bulk of your business or your business entirely, it's almost as if there's this divide. It's like, of course, waxers are estheticians, but I'm like, I always have said I'm a fake esthetician because I've never done skincare. I've never done a facial. And that in my mind is the divide. There's the spa esthetician and then there's waxers. And I feel like the waxers maybe resonate more with like a cosmetologist, you know, of that type of personality. You have to speak to your clients. You have to be able to shoot the shit and remember conversations you've had in the past, and the personality and the relationship building is just so different than a spa environment. Not that those conversations don't happen and those relationships aren't built in the spa, but it's very different as a waxer.
Yeah, they're different environments. Like in that 15-minute appointment for a wax, the music's on. You have to
like
distract them.
It's vibe. Yeah, it's different.
You have to distract them from the pain. So you have to make that small talk.
Right.
Whereas like when I go to a facial, I don't talk. I honestly fall asleep. Like,
you don't want to talk.
Exactly.
No.
So very different vibes. But one important characteristic that you have to have is like that sense of reading the room.
Yes.
Right? Like it's
not a lot of self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
And people don't have it. Yeah. Not a lot of people have it.
Self-awareness and awareness of your client. Read your client. It's like, you know, when you get in a lift, it's like sometimes you need a little music and, you know, it just depends. Have you had a few little pre-game drinks? You know, what's the vibe in this vehicle versus like when I schedule a ride to the airport at 6 a.m, please don't talk to me. Like I'm barely waking up. I have a coffee in my hand. So like a Lyft driver has to be very aware of who's in their vehicle. Right.
Yeah.
And then when they're not aware, you're almost annoyed. Like, let me speak for myself. I've been in Lyft rides where I literally am like not trying to talk and they're just asking and asking.
You're like
questions.
on a work call or you're trying to post on socials or whatever. And they're like, you're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm trying.
Right. I'm like working here.
Doing something.
But on the flip, I've had like Lyft drivers who are on a freaking phone
Oh my
call
God.
and like vaping and like the window's open and my hair's blowing and I just like did my hair and it's chaos. So I say that example so that it resonates with our students, our viewers, that you have to read the room and adjust accordingly. Not everyone wants to talk, right?
I saw this girl go on this tangent on TikTok and she was a cosmetologist, so did hair. And, you know, talking about the Lyft and the Uber thing, there's like a setting where you can click it of like, I'd prefer a quiet ride or whatever. And so she took that and she has something at her station where it's a card you can flip. So like if you're not in the mood to be chatty, like you can put red up or green up. And so she was like, how this can apply to you as a different service provider. And there were a lot of people in the comments, you know, and we'll talk about this later, but just like people on TikTok have a lot to say. And there were people popping off in the comments, which I didn't completely disagree with, of like, I provide a 15-minute service. Like, I don't have time for all that. The like red card, green card. Do you want to talk or not? Like I have been in the industry long enough now that I, again,
you are the red and green card.
I'm the red and green card. And I can just tell by the look on their face if they're red or green and what we're doing. But I remember when you would train us, or part of the training back at, you know, in our corporate waxing, of trying to teach people how to be personable. And that's a really hard thing. You can't teach it. Like, can you get better at it? Can you give tips and tricks? Can you give talking points? Sure. But you either have it or you don't, of being able to converse. And I just remember like, okay, you need to ask your client at least 3 questions before you try to let the conversation end. So what did you guys do this weekend? Oh, I remember you were going on a trip to X, Y, and Z. Did you guys have fun? And if they're giving you 1-word answers.
That was good.
Yeah. Again, that's the reading the room of like, okay, this lady does not want to talk to me right now.
3 strikes, you're out.
That's fine. Done.
Let it go. Yeah.
I won't speak to you ever again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Done. It's hard, but I guess with practice, you learn how to read it. So
yeah, for sure. Read the room. That's a part of being that new waxer and what makes it so challenging. Right?
Maybe that'll be the title of this podcast episode. Read the room.
Read the room.
Read the room, sweetie. It's hard. Well, so then this next question kind of goes into that too.
Right.
What's the hardest part about being a new waxer? All of the we just talked about before. I mean, it's learning how to be confident when you're not being super confident in your skill set yet, and having to remember to do all these other things: shake their hand, sanitize the table when you're done, cleanse them, powder them, make sure that you gave a full, engaging, productive consultation. Like you have
Pre-book
so
them,
many
educate
things.
them on hair cycles and products. And
Yeah, I think it's just
many things.
the hardest part about being a new waxer is being scared shitless and having to remember to do all of these things at the same time. I mean, multitasking is just hard for anyone on their best day.
For
And
sure.
so I think to expect a new waxer who's a little bit like a deer in the headlights, and expect them to nail it every single time and remember to do all the things, it's a lot. It's a lot of pressure. The pressure is a lot. And then on top of that, you're supposed to be conversing and making sure they like you when you're like sweating out of your top and feel like you're going to have diarrhea on the spot. So it's a lot. I think the pressure for sure.
Yeah, the pressure. Also, I think a part of the challenge in being a new waxer is not forming bad habits.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
No one's there to hold you accountable. Double check your stuff. You know, like there's been, I'm going to confess, several nights where like, you know, do I do a full reorganization of all my things on my station and like, you know, scrape the floors and then goog on them and then mop them? Like, come on. I cut corners sometimes. I'm like, oh shit, I have a concert tonight. I'm flying out of here. And, you know, it's just not up to par. So holding yourself accountable to that consistent standard when no one is watching, to me, was one of the hardest things. It's really easy to cut corners on all the things that, like, when you work for someone, you know, your manager will come in, check your room.
Oh, when you would come check our floors. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I was a sergeant.
Yeah. It was like, nope, you do that one, do that one. Remember we'd like tiptoe walk out wet and then we get paged for a client and you're like, too bad your floors are wet. You're taking somebody right now.
Well, too bad you're walking out before time's up. Fired someone for that before. Yeah. So the accountability
Is very hard. I am guilty of that now. You know, your room has never been cleaner than when you know someone else is coming in behind you. But when it's just me, like I clean my floors a couple times a week. Granted, I'm not as messy as I used to be. And I have floors that are like wood and they hide everything.
They're forgivable.
But they're forgiving, and I'm just not as messy. Like my wax strings, I don't have them everywhere. Like the tile where we used to work was like, you know, an eyelash. You could see it on the ground. I mean, and yes, the level of cleanliness that just needs to be upheld no matter what is important.
Right. And I want to actually take a big moment. All you TikTokers, before you freaking come for us, we're not saying we're not disinfecting.
Oh, right. Those are different things.
That's very different. We're talking about cleaning the mirrors, right? It's like
the deep clean,
right? Scraping your floors, getting the grout, like sanitation, disinfection. That is like the main thing that we are trained on,
of course,
in school.
Yes.
Like if nothing else, I promise that everyone that leaves school knows how to disinfect their implements and knows how to maintain sanitation in that fashion.
Because that's all state board cared about.
Right.
They didn't care if you could actually wax.
They cared about, right?
Oh yeah, we all know how to sanitize.
Right.
Yes.
So we're talking about the extras.
Yes, the extras. So, but yes, but not even cleaning. It's doing your inventory, filling up your wax pot before you leave, taking out your trash the night before. Like all of these things that when it's just you as a new waxer and you're so flustered and all the things, again, remembering to do all of the things, but holding yourself accountable too. I should really do my inventory right now because I need to order wax tomorrow morning. I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and you're out of wax.
Now you're in trouble, baby.
Now you're in trouble. So I think it's hard. The confidence, and I think also to be a new waxer and just it's rare that as a new waxer, it's not even rare. That's not the truth. You are getting your clients that are coming to you are not new clients. You might have a new client and you're a new waxer. Great. You start your journey together. Most of the people that are coming to you as a new waxer have been waxed before. And so you have to give them a service that outshines anyone they've seen prior. And you have to be the best and you have to make them want to come back to you. And that's scary when you're brand new and you feel like you're not the best and you don't know what you're doing, and then retain them. And so I think there's a lot of I don't know, self-doubt and maybe feeling like you're failing in the beginning of like your pre-book is really low, you know, and that's just, it is what it is. Like your pre-book is low because maybe you gave them a 45-minute Brazilian and they're used to a 15. It's just the reality of it. It's not that the Brazilian was bad. It was just slower than what they want. So they pick somebody else and you're going to get busier and you'll get them in the future. So that, I think that just keeping a positive mindset of like, you're not bad at this. It's just, you have to grow. You've got to like pay your dues and put your time in and get better and
not give up.
And not give up.
But also I wanted to kind of shed a light on this. It's something I kind of have contemplated sharing is like in the front desk when we worked in these salons, and we actually worked in 2 different chains together, but clients will not tell their waxer what they didn't like about the service. They won't.
Oh, to their face. No, God, no.
No. And
to this day, even working for myself, they don't.
Right.
Which it does, again, it doesn't happen that often, but you'll hear it or read it on Yelp. Yeah, I'm perfect. Sorry, this is how you're finding out. You'll read about it online, or they'll tell the management at the front desk. They will never say, "Hey, you left hair behind." Oh, this chick just wrote in her notes. This was the first complaint I've had in a really long time. I just wish she'd get more hair on my inner lips, is what the pop-up note said that she booked online. And I was like, okay, great. But when I confronted her in the suite and I was like, hey, I saw your note that you wanted me to make sure I got the inner labia, it's like I shot her. She was like so mortified.
How dare you use my own words against me? Bitch.
It was like, she was shocked that I read the note. I'm like, who did you think that was going to? I run my own business. I don't know. It just made me laugh.
She's like, I was go to the front desk.
I thought
That
never
doesn't exist.
speak about this again.
Right.
But yes, that.
Right. So, but what I'm getting to here is that a lot of the, hey, I don't want to see her again. Do not book me with her again. Believe it or not, I would say 50% of the reason why was not skill.
It was personality.
Not time. It was personality and
That
worse.
doesn't surprise me.
And worse.
What's worse? Breath.
This is where I contemplated sharing this, but people have biases.
Oh, are we talking racism?
I have heard people say about age, like, I want someone.
What is that called?
Ageism? Yeah. But I'm keeping it real here. Like, there's people that are like, I don't want some young girl who doesn't look like me, waxing me. I've heard, we just, I didn't like her. Okay, well, listen,
I'm gonna need a little more.
As the manager, like, I need to understand, like, was there something we could have done differently? Services, not politics. Like, why ever bring up politics, like, in the wax suite? Now you pissed off a client. Different religious views. And I do believe that there is some racism, to be honest with you.
I'm sure.
And it was really disheartening because I knew it had nothing to do with the service. And I want to shed light on that because these are real problems. Like, I contemplated it because it's just such a like ugly thing these days and like such a heated debate all the time. But if you're educated and you understand that, hey, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And unfortunately, there's some ugly people out there that are going to judge over my age, my color, my religion, whatever. Like, good for us that we learned that, and see you never.
See you never. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
I was going to quote a movie, but it was inappropriate.
Okay.
All right, moving on.
Well, great self-control there.
Yeah, I'm getting better.
But I think you're right about the ageism thing, though. Like, I think that's not even just our industry. That's everything. That's every industry. I think that, if you've got like a 65-year-old, I can see her face. Super rich client, white woman. She sounds great. But like, I remember the first time I waxed her, I was fresh out of school. I was 20, and she was like, how old are you? Oh my gosh. I was going to say, do they let high school girls wax here? Like the whole conversation to start. But I gave her the best Brazilian she ever had. I waxed her for like 8 years until I left. Fucking showed her.
You showed
her. Cheryl, wherever you are now.
We've got a lot of bleeping to do on this episode.
No. Well, the next question I was going to say was kind of, how do you overcome the fear of Brazilians? But I feel like we've already talked about that. It's just practice. Practice, 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 baby.
And mentally, like, if you're scared of a vagina,
this industry isn't for you.
It's not for you. I get it. Like, if it's a penis. Like that is not for everyone.
So spooky. Terrifying. I will not do them.
And we've had a lot of feedback on our TikTok account specifically about like, oh, I would never do. We'll talk about.
Yeah, let's wait.
later.
They get their own episode.
Yeah. But it's just you can't be scared.
You cannot be scared. Yeah.
Double down on what we started talking about.
Double down. Not double dip. Double down.
When I dip, you dip, but not in the wax room.
Correct. Can we play the clip of that right there? Okay, what is your least favorite misconception about waxing or the industry? I'll go first.
I'll go.
Mine's hot on my brain. I don't like the assumption that you can do this at home, that you don't need to hire a licensed professional, like that you can wax yourself. And we have a lot of like TikTok content and social media content coming out of like the DIY fails, and we've told stories about it. And I just feel like it diminishes the integrity of us as waxers. 1, 2, it dismisses that like we went to school and got a license to do this. The like thought that it's that easy, like how hard can it be? That bugs the shit out of me. I don't like that at all. I'm like, it's a skill set and it's like my craft, and I've built a business around it now, multiple. And so I don't like that misconception that it's just that easy. You can do it at home. The like, how hard can it be mentality?
Yeah, I think
it really bothers me.
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous.
It is. Even like I could think back to the first time I waxed. I was, I think, probably 14.
Like got waxed yourself?
No, I waxed my cousin.
Yeah. Oh God. What body part?
I did the top. Well, we were going to do her bikini line because she wasn't allowed to get waxed. And
so you're like, let's go in your closet and do it.
Like, I could do this shit.
Oh, which cousin? Tell me later.
I'll tell you later. Okay. But it was in the bathroom. Which cousin?
Put her on blast.
You know, which
she never recovered.
We spoke about her yesterday. And so she had her chonies on, by the way. Oh, that's underwear. Okay. And so she pulled on the top and I just did a strip across and I used hot honey wax.
Like actual wax. Okay.
Yeah. Like
I'm picturing you grab the honey from like the cabinet. Yeah, Rachel. I don't know. 14? You had no idea what you were doing. True. You didn't have TikTok then, so.
Right. And so I laid it and it came with the muslin strip. Like it was like a kit. And I put it on. She's like, oh, it's so hot. It's so hot.
Of course.
And I put the muslin strip and just went for it.
Rip.
Right.
Did you rip her skin off?
Oh, yeah. When I tell you, it was like a straight.
See straight into her soul.
The straight line straight across the top. And I was like, yeah, I can't do more of it. Like there's no freaking way. And
you're like, all right, you're all set.
So I'm just sharing that because I've been on the other end of it. I'm like, yeah, we'll just do it. I've had a lot of girlfriends and wives do their, significant others' backs, and then they break out really bad after. And so it's like, why even go through that? No. I don't understand it. And I want to go back to the integrity of our industry. That's ultimately what it comes down to. If there's no integrity in the services we provide, the industry that we're in, we don't have a future in this industry, correct? Right? If everyone just starts replacing with at-home stuff, right? Like I've seen, lash artists that are losing a lot of business because all these like at-home clusters. So that's a industry diminish. And like, look, I'm a consumer too. You think I like to spend, $150 on my eyelashes every 2 weeks? No, but there's just certain industries where it's like, dang, they're going to disappear if we keep doing just all these do it yourself at home or hacks, or even like in the corporate world, like AI things that are replacing people's jobs. So it's like, how do we ensure this industry continues? Right? Like
respect the professional.
Respect the game.
Respect the game. You know who can't wax your Brazilian? ChatGPT.
ChatGPT can kiss my.
Yeah, they can. I'd like to see him try. I'd like to see them.
I kind of like my chat, but
I know, same. But daddy, call our ChatGPT daddy.
We do.
I know, but it is a misconception that I don't take lightly. I don't appreciate it because I've been in the industry a long time and I've worked really hard to get where I'm at. And I just think that there are some things that should be left to the professionals, and that's one of them. You are not going to do your filler at home. You're not going to I'm sure how many people, maybe even more so than waxing, have hair fails of like box dyeing their hair. Sure. If it's straightforward, just dark, fine. But like
Bleaching.
the color correction shit, yes. When people try to like bleach their hair at home or
Turns orange.
oh my gosh, or like these at-home lamination kits, these at-home lash lift kits, which we'll talk about later, but all of these things that are accessible on Amazon or cheaper that you don't have a license to buy. And like you said, yes, we're all looking for a deal. We love cheaper things. Everything is more expensive, the most expensive it's ever been. Do we want to cut corners and save money? Sure, on other things, but like don't order Uber Eats and save money there. Like go get your eyebrows waxed by a professional. You
Right.
don't have to
Right. I agree.
budget. That's not a service that you compromise on. I don't feel.
Another
That's how I feel.
misconception that just kind of popped into my head, and this came from, again, a lot of the things we reference from like the big salons, because like we spent so much time there, and the volume of people, and like, the Grouponers, they're the ones that would go to the chains because there's all these free, free first time and this and that. And so you get just a lot more lower quality, unfortunately, consumers, right? Therefore, you're going to deal with some lower caliber conversations or just ignorant like people. And this is what I mean. Let me give you the example, this actual story. So we could get to the misconception. I'll land the plane. Don't worry. So I was at the front desk. I'm like, typing away. And there was a client who started laughing. She's like, and I'm like, look around the desk, and then she's like, what can you even be typing back there?
What were you typing?
Probably,
I'm like, I'm with her.
probably the dissertation of wax history. I was definitely working on something like work related, right?
Of course. You were the
And, like,
manager.
Right. It's the manager. And
No,
mind
but
you,
that's
like,
so rude. Why?
you're right. Okay. So that was just the start of it. She goes back into the service and it goes to talk with the waxer and tells the waxer, how much money could you even make doing this?
Oh yeah, I used to hate that.
So after the client left, the waxer was like, she was like really rude and condescending in the room. Like, I would like not to see her, which is also like such a hard conversation to have with your employee where you're like, I mean, she didn't like do anything crazy. Like, give me a little bit more, like condescending.
She's like, if I say she hit me, do I
right? Like, give me some more. And so she tells me more. I remember it was such other stuff. She was super rude. And so the misconception I'm getting at here is that like you're just like a butthole waxer. Like, oh, like how much money could you even make? Like a silly waxer girl. It's like, quite frankly, most waxers I know make far more income than, people who have degrees, meaning bachelors and working in corporate jobs. So I don't like the misconception of like, we're just little waxer girls. Like this is just like a fun side gig.
A little
Like,
hobby.
right. Like we are business professionals. We're business women. We actually are successful. And not only have we built our own businesses, we've built Wax Pro, we've helped other people. So it's not just a silly little
Side gig.
side job.
100%. That used to really rub me the wrong way because we would get that a lot. I don't anymore because the clients I see like love and appreciate me. They're supporting my business, all the things. But I cannot tell you how many times I was asked like, or like the hug their knees. I cannot believe that you do this for a living. This is crazy. I'm so sorry. I feel so bad for you. I feel so bad for you. I'm like, why do you feel bad for me? I have no debt. I make great money. I work for myself. I make my own schedule.
And now I work 20 hours a week.
Yeah. Like, yeah. I don't like that
that's why
either.
I started off with the lead up to like, the fact that we were seeing people who, we didn't really choose. They were just coming to us because of, marketing. Marketing did a great job at getting us a lot of people.
Volume,
but was it the type of people that could potentially, offend you? Sure. Not anymore.
I agree. I'm going to skip down to, are there any services that you don't offer in your wax suite? Well, do you take female clients? You only take male?
I would say my split is like 85-15. Yeah.
But it's not like you say no to female.
No.
Yeah.
No. But the females are like by referral, all of them. I'm like, well, I'm not going to say no to my homegirl's, sister. Like, sure, come on in.
Just basically family.
Yeah.
To take her. I think we talked about this in a different episode too, of you get to decide what your service menu looks like. And I think I'm coming up on probably no longer offering leg wax because I just hate it so much. And I'm like,
Really?
why do I do it? Yeah, and here's why. The clients that I get for it are not long-term leg waxers. They're doing it for a trip.
Mhm.
They don't exfoliate. They don't take care of their skin. They want silky smooth results in with no prep and no aftercare. Like I don't want to give somebody a service that isn't the best service ever or like isn't long term. And so if it's just I'm getting we used to get those, again, talk about the volume of the places we've worked before, all the people that would come in for Valentine's Day Brazilian, and you're never going to see them again. They don't care about the aftercare. Their hair's borderline too short. You left hair behind, and you're like, that was a really shitty wax. You leave feeling like not great about it.
Mhm.
That's how I feel about the leg wax now. I have one client who does it regularly, whose hair is like super soft and thin, who
Yeah.
had laser, fine. But like having it available for anyone to book, I'm like, why do I offer this service if I hate it so much?
Yeah. Well, we're also in one of the driest freaking climates known to man.
Mhm.
So, yeah, leg waxes are really tough in Arizona. It's just way too dry. Skin's dry. The ingrown hairs that you don't know are ingrown hairs
Right.
because they're laying flat and you just have
Uh-huh.
like that thin, dead layer
Yeah.
of skin. But honestly, I do a lot of reverse selling and like not for the money, but like legit to get results.
Mhm.
Meaning, I will tell them if you are not going to exfoliate
Mhm.
and moisturize and dry brush and do all these steps, I cannot take your money today
Mhm.
for this service. Like you have to commit to me
Right.
because otherwise, straight up, you think I did a bad job
Right.
when there's like, I have you for 15 minutes of the month or 30 or in a full leg,
Yeah.
an hour, whatever timing, right? That's all I get with you. The rest of the time, you're in leggings, you're in jeans that your legs can't breathe, you're not exfoliating, it's dry, you're not doing everything
All the
else.
prep work.
So it makes this service a waste of your money.
For
So
sure.
if you're not going to do it, the at home care, like I'm just trying to help you out and like
Yeah.
not do the service.
Yeah.
And that sometimes people like will get real about it. They'll be like, oh shit, I'm not going to do that home care. Okay, great. So like,
Do not waste your money on this.
right. What other service can we do today?
Yeah.
Or we could reschedule or whatever. But yeah,
The legs, man.
freaking legs. Yeah.
How do you measure success in your current business?
Wow. That's a really good question. First of all, I am a business coach. Like that's what I do for my my other income. So KPIs are very important to me.
Mhm.
The things I look at, I know most waxers or my friends in business will not look at.
Mhm.
But
What is a KPI for the
oh, thanks
for the
Rachel. See?
viewers?
Thank
See
you.
it?
Let me bring them
There you
back.
go again.
Key performance indicators. So it's essentially your report card for your business. So I look at marketing KPIs. I also look at sales KPIs. So marketing KPIs would be like your cost per lead or your client acquisition. So like how much did it cost for this person to get into this seat here,
Mhm.
which is why I have built the business off of referrals mostly
Mhm.
because that is the lowest cost for me to get a new client.
Right.
I look at conversions. So like when I do run ads, leads to appointments. So I look at that conversion. I look at appointment to a sale, meaning membership or package and that conversion. I look at reviews. That's definitely a subjective KPI because obviously feedback,
Right.
comes from
Varies. Yeah.
yeah. I look at rebook rate.
Mhm.
So how many people actually rebook their appointment from today to the next one. I look at services per ticket. Like, are my clients coming for one thing or are they doing multiple? And average ticket.
Mhm.
How much money do I make on average per person? So that's a lot of KPIs that I would not expect other people to like look so deeply at. But at minimum, you absolutely need to understand what your break even point is
Mhm.
and how much revenue you generated
Mhm.
and the difference of that being your bottom line.
Right.
And those aren't really KPIs per se. That's more on the profit and loss management and your bookkeeping. But if you're not looking so deeply at your metrics, you've got to at least start with those.
Right. Well, and I think the conversation of the KPIs too, if people are interested in that, we do have resources in our curriculum about business management, KPIs being part of that.
Yep.
That goes more in depth. If that's something that you are interested in and want to learn more about, we can help you there.
Absolutely.
I think very similar, probably like my reduced version of that answer, how I measure success is my retention, just on a day-to-day level, something easier to comprehend of like tracking of like my retention, my, my rebook and how much money I'm making. Because just
Yeah, and just
that matters.
kind of differentiate, like retention and rebook are different. Just because someone rebooks an appointment doesn't mean that you're retaining them.
Yeah.
Retention is how many clients did I have this month and did they stay with me the next month, right? Like what percentage stick with you? And then quarter by quarter, year by year, however you want to look at it. But retention is honestly, arguably the most important metric, actually.
Yeah.
Now that I'm really thinking about it for us. Yeah.
But then also success can mean freedom and, independence and working for yourself. And success to me equals I get to work 20 hours a week and, be with my kids after school.
Oh yeah. Success.
Some days that's success.
Yeah. Happiness.
Yeah. But for real, it doesn't just have to be, money about money.
Yeah.
So,
kind of leads into like the topic of inventory management because there's also metrics around your inventory. If you're a psycho like me, you don't have to be so granular, but where do you source your inventory from? Or like what advice would you give our viewers on how to source their inventory so that it's cost effective?
That's like a work in progress for me always. I think up until now, I've kind of sourced from many different resources. Amazon really is the cheapest though for most things. I think, and again, in the curriculum, we have this whole section on inventory and how to help with that. But I think you've got to figure out, where you can source things the cheapest. And maybe that means you order from 3 different places. Maybe that means you have a Medline account and you order X, Y, and Z from Amazon. And then you get your gloves and your whatever else from Costco. But if you can have a master list of all of your inventory listed out and exactly what it costs per item, it gives you a better idea. But for me, Amazon is almost always cheaper for all of like the paper disposable things that I use in suite. I think the conversation of where we source our wax is touchy just because we were just speaking about this earlier. It kind of depends on where you live, what body parts you're waxing, who your clientele is, of what kind of wax you should source. I've used Serapel, I've used Barodin, I've used Waxness, and then within Waxness, I've used 3 or 4 different kinds of wax from them. I've bought cheap stuff from the beauty supply that was terrible. It just kind of all depends. And, we just did this like mini wax training inside of a lash studio and the girls there were practicing with their wax. And you were talking to them about like, oh, I think you guys need to get a different kind of wax. Cause did they have Waxness? Is that what they were using?
They were using Waxness and they were talking through some of their challenges. And I looked around and mind you, I also ran lash studios before. So it just dawned on me, I'm like, wait a minute. We're in a lash studio and there's humidifiers and it's humid in here because you have to keep the room at a certain humidity for the adhesive to work your lashes. And I'm like, you guys need a high humidity formula. Like that's why your wax is not drying. You're having a hard time.
It's tacky. It's not pulling up. There's residue.
So back to like your climate, like we're here in Arizona, it's dry and we don't have humidifiers in our building. Whereas if you live in Florida, like it's completely different. So, it's kind of back to like, being the professional. It's like, you can't just get whatever wax. Like, yes, there's some trial and error in the beginning, no doubt. But you have to get smart about looking at the ingredients and reading the directions and seeing if it's like a high melting point, a low melting point. We're talking about wax, right? And your climate. And most wax vendors, if you ask them for like a full download of their ingredient list, like they'll send you like a large PDF. And you just have to do your due diligence. So if you're having some challenges with your wax formulation, like, I don't know why my wax is rolling off. Or like the other day we used the white formula from Waxness and it literally was like drying so fast. It was like crazy. And it was just like shredding. So that formulation, like you have to lay it really thick. You
Mhm.
can't do thin strips. Therefore, that wax is not going to be good for speed waxing.
Mhm.
You have to lay it thick and then let go on to the next strip, then come back to it. Whereas, something that you spread and dries faster, like that thin layer, you have to pull it off right away. That's good for speed waxing,
Mhm.
right? Because you could pull really fast. So lots of considerations with that. But when it comes to inventory management for me, I actually want to give our viewers like a really high level tip, specifically estheticians who are waxers who have other friends that are waxers. Sourcing your basics like cotton rounds, mascara wands, tissue, things that aren't going to change the client experience, you should definitely consider ordering in bulk from Alibaba, AliExpress, something like that, where you could get a huge shipment and then split the cost among, you and your friend, or maybe a little co-op of waxers, and get it down to just like the lowest cost per unit. Every cent matters. I'm again a little bit crazy with KPIs numbers in general. So like I know what my one wax stick costs me. It's 0.003 cents. So I literally know every aspect of my business like intimately. And if you're not going to be that intimate with your, inventory management, at least do the basics. Get your product for the cheapest price possible. Like that is so important,
Mhm.
especially right now with the economy the way it is. And we just spoke about like, hey, we need to save money where we can, but there's
Mhm.
certain things you cannot, cut quality on, right? So, like I said, the paper goods that are the disposables, you could, get
Right.
cheaper stuff,
Yeah.
but wax, I would not ever cut back on the quality simply because of the price.
Right. Well, and I think if you are trying to source your wax and figure out which kind works for you, you can also reach out to some of these distributors, and they have bundles where they'll send you samples of a bunch of different kind of wax, which is cool because then you can play with it without committing to like a larger order
Yeah, for sure.
amount.
That's a good tip.
Um, yeah. So I think we just have one more question and then we'll wrap up this episode.
Do you love me or do you love me not?
Love you. What are some things that you have done that have significantly helped grow your business? And I will start.
That's a
I
good question.
I will start. I think this is like a two-part question just because there's things that we've done for Wax Pro that we did differently that we did for our own personal businesses, but a few that we've talked about in other podcasts and also in our curriculum are things like raising our prices, enforcing our policies. These foundational seem like non-negotiable things that really aren't that groundbreaking, but that do help your business become successful. Like the moment that I started really enforcing my policies, it changed for me. And the moment that I decided, okay, I was just too scared to, we just posted about this. I was so scared to raise my prices when I finally did. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was losing money. Like, this
Mhm.
is crazy that I was just afraid to have the conversation with people or actually do it. When I did, it made a
Mhm.
huge impact. And that was such a small thing.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. And I think, but I mean, do you have any other insight? I have a few more, but I don't want to like take yours.
Yeah. Well, I want to go tangent for a second because
Tangent.
kind of just back to like the feedback that we've gotten. We had a few people comment or say like all you care about is the money. Or like, oh, money, 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 right? We are in business.
Yeah, this is a business. Of course I care about the money. If I didn't care about the money, what am I
It'd
doing? I
be
can't
very
feed my
concerning.
children.
Yeah. Well, it'd be very concerning if you were not financially educating yourself, financially aware, motivated. This is not a hobby. This is our
Yeah, it's
livelihood.
my business.
And you have to value the education that you've invested in, which is not cheap, the ongoing education, the products that you buy, the marketing that you invest in. Like people don't understand, like as a consumer, like what all goes into even like laying that disposable bed cover and all those sticks and the wax and who pays for the Wi-Fi and the music subscription and the
My business cards
point of
and my
sale
tuition that I'm still
right,
paying off.
right. So
Well, I'm
you're
not,
yeah, but
but in general,
it's been a while.
yes.
It's been a while, but that is why pricing yourself appropriately. It's not about screwing people or like charging an arm and a leg. We're not saying that, but you have to price appropriately, which
Yes.
unfortunately means we have to up the prices. You cannot charge the same for your Brazilian from 10 years ago.
No.
The quality, the
Oh my
cost,
gosh, that I used to
cost of
charge
living.
$45 for a Brazilian.
Right,
Crazy.
right. Yeah, I've never started that
Fascinating.
low because I started later.
Okay.
Anyways, but no, but I'm just saying I started waxing way later.
know.
Cost of living is different. But so something I did though significantly to actually answer the question was just
Thank you.
yeah. Again, land the plane, Erica. Not give a
Yeah.
that's what I did differently. I don't care. Like people constantly want to advise you on like, you should do this. Have you tried that? Have you? Look, I am a student every day. I will listen and like hear you out. But if I acted on all of the things that people told me I should do and shouldn't do, and I can't believe you take males only, and you need, and I'd be nowhere.
Right.
You have to stand on business. Like just not give a.
Your dad is not going to like that you said that.
I didn't say it. I literally just
Sorry
mouthed
about
it.
her, Mark.
Dad, I'm sorry. No, I'm getting better. Did you
Mouthed
see
it.
how I mouthed it?
Yeah, now we're doing like auto bleeping.
Auto
We have
bleeping.
we have so much self-control.
But yeah, that's what I did differently, Rachel.
I think that's good. I think that's great. Yeah, definitely stand on business. We should get hats made. Let's say that.
Stand on business.
Okay, business. I think that there's probably others, we're not covering them all, but things like hiring professionals to help you build a website or taking professional photos to help with like content creation, stuff like that. There are lots of things that you can do to help build and grow and scale your business and outsource your areas that you aren't proficient in.
Mm-hmm.
We're working with a social media manager, which we're going to talk about later, for Wax Pro, and that's new for us and an expense that maybe we didn't anticipate when we started. Maybe we thought further down the line we would have help in that area, but the way that that's shifted and helped us kind of grow and open up our eyes to other things that we need help with and other changes that we want to make. And so there's lots of things that we can do to always be growing, always evolving, build that business
mindset too around expenses versus investments. And I think like all of us suffer scarcity mindset to a certain degree. And so I would agree that's definitely a pivot I've made through the challenge of Wax Pro is like, is this an expense? No, it's actually an investment. And sometimes those investments are necessary to catapult you to the next level. And it's really you holding yourself back because you create these excuses of like, oh, that's expensive. Oh, I'll just do it myself. And then you never do it yourself. You put it off and you put it off. And a year goes by real quick.
Yeah.
So just really like committing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could do a whole other episode on those things. Maybe we will. But for now,
that's
going to wrap
thanks
it up.
for joining us again. Season 2 already.
Season 2, episode 5, baby.
In the
We did
books.
it.